It's not going well for the left in handling any of this. And I'll just give you one example. Here's the always perfectly reasonable Kara Swisher and her co-host Scott Galloway, who normally is the more sane one between them. Though I'm telling you, like, you know how they say you become like your friends? Like, you really do have to watch who you hang out with because you become like them. He needs to think about that. Here is Kara Swisher on Stephen Miller on Tuesday, SOT 8.
And I would last like to call out Stephen Miller, who is in the center of this. We always focus on Trump, as we often focus on the top people. But Stephen Miller, like a man named Ben Detson, he was the one who created the internment camps for Japanese. Heinrich Himmler in the Nazi regime. This is what he is. And he of course, Trump gets the most of the blame being at the top. But people like Stephen Miller will go down in history as evil, had blood on his hands, and should be jailed at the very end of this.
Okay, Emily. Clearly she wants Stephen Miller dead. And I posted that on X last night. She's not going to be happy until Stephen Miller's killed. Why else would you directly compare him to Himmler, the guy who came up with the extermination scheme for the Nazis, the guy who figured out if we gas them, in these extermination chambers, that'll be a really efficient way of killing all these millions of Jews. And so that our agents don't have to be disgusted by like shooting them and having guts and blood blow back on them. That's Himmler. That's the role he played under Adolf Hitler. She's literally saying Stephen Miller is that guy. I mean, that's fucking crazy talk and really, truly incendiary stuff. And why else would you say that? Would you make a comparison? And by the way, where are all like the Holocaust groups and so on? Usually like they're all over you. If you make any sort of a comparison to the Holocaust, even Tim Walz got it worse for saying the kids in Minneapolis who are hiding are like the modern day Anne Frank. But she can compare an American administration official who's trying to enforce our immigration laws to Himmler and not a peep? I think we should hear a peep. Is it just because she's a leftist? What is it? I don't know what the reason, or maybe she's just irrelevant. But I'm sorry, that's too far. That's beyond the pale.
I was going to say, I think the answer is that Kara Swisher is not nearly important enough to warrant a rebuke from, but, on the right, I think they would be eager to rebuke someone who made a direct Himmler comparison to a top person in the White House. So she's basically saying the exact same thing as Tim Walz. I mean, that there is like no daylight. What she's saying might even be worse because she directly invoked Himmler. So maybe we will see something from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum because they're the ones who rebuked Walz over his Anne Frank comparison. And there's, again, very little daylight. This is not just calling ICE the Gestapo. This is going further and saying you are like someone who is engineering a genocide of people who you think are like biologically inferior. Right. It's really, really gross. And to your point, Megyn, it always reminds me of what Tyler Robinson allegedly texted about how some hate can't be negotiated with. I'm paraphrasing it, but that was the gist of it. The language does get people hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really need to be more careful in that. And Stephen Miller, I happen to know, is already, he and his wife and their young kids, and she's pregnant, are already under daily death threats. And not the mild kind, not like the, I'll come kill you, I can't stand you kind, but like, this is exactly what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to find you. And, like the ones that really seem to mean it. And this is no way to live. I mean, this guy's trying to clean up a mess that was not of his own making at all. Trying to save the young girls from being molested and raped and thrown off bridges. That's what Stephen Miller's trying to do. And for it, he gets called Himmler by Kara Swisher, who is another rich bitch who has fucking no concerns whatsoever about security in her life and will never have to deal with the consequences of these violent illegals coming into her neighborhood and murdering her in her bathtub, like we talked about yesterday. So here is the normally saner one, Scott Galloway, on the same podcast, SOT 9.
What I'm suggesting is, and again, I've struggled with this my whole life, the difference between being right and being effective. And we're angry, and I get it, protesting is powerful. Promising them that there will be an accountability. And I've said this, I think there should be something equivalent to the Nuremberg trials after this is all over.
I agree.
And to make it clear that once we're back in power, which we will be, this is going to happen. And the statute of limitations on murder is
0.
never.
I mean, they're not kidding around. I actually believe that you're hearing this more and more, that there's going to be some sort of trials of Trump administration officials after his term ends, and of those who supported them. And he mentions Nuremberg. The audience knows I just watched that with Russell Crowe on, I don't know, I think it was Netflix. Terrible. Don't waste your time.
No,
Very disappointing.
I heard your review. I disagreed slightly with your review.
I thought Rami Malek peaked in the documentary on Queen and Freddie Mercury. He was great. He was not great in this film. I did not enjoy it. But in any event, okay.
Agree.
So, but the Nuremberg trials is where they came up with crimes against humanity. This like amorphous, you're just evil and you should be hanged. Okay, and it worked. I mean, make perfect sense when you're dealing with actual Nazis. But like that shit is not going to fly in the United States of America. And if you want to go after a specific individual for murder, you know, I certainly don't think that should happen to these Border Patrol agents. But like, you don't need Nuremberg for that. Why are they mentioning Nuremberg, right? Like you go with made up new crimes against anybody who, quote, supported it.
Well, and again, we have seen 2 tragic U.S. citizen deaths, but we have seen 2 tragic deaths. I hope it does not get worse, but to compare it to the Holocaust, when we are talking about millions of people being genocided, is absolutely insane and completely crazy, dangerous rhetoric, over the top, reckless, irresponsible. But of course, Kara Swisher is one of the people who is constantly lecturing everybody else on the responsible way to do politics and to talk and to maintain the moral high ground and all of this. Looks down her nose at MAGA and all of that. Meanwhile, is comparing 2 very, very tragic deaths to a circumstance where you saw millions of people dead. It's completely insane and reckless. And to use Nuremberg, again, you're talking about the same millions and millions of people who were genocided. And I have to think you would be putting Obama and Biden in jeopardy if you tried to make some sort of case that Kristi Noem or Stephen Miller or Greg Bovino or Donald Trump themselves were committing crimes against humanity with their immigration policies. Because yes, Trump has escalated, absolutely. But on a smaller scale, the Obama administration was handling immigration. They were doing family separation. These guys didn't care then. They didn't care about those family separations. Not at all.
And by the way, Obama droned an American citizen without apology.
Yep.
And where's his Nuremberg trial? That didn't happen. Trump didn't drone an American citizen. These were law enforcement officers out there being interfered with by a guy who then resisted arrest while happening to be armed, amping up the pressure and the stress on the officers all the more, with these activists around them blowing the whistles. And there's more evidence that this guy, Preddy, was an activist too. We'll get to the Signal chat information that has just broken on him. But I mean, you compare the two, like drones authorized by the US president and individuals who are harassing law enforcement actually finding themselves on the wrong end of that fight. It's 2 totally different situations, but Kara Swisher won't be calling for that. A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group? They use an educational approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898. Claim your eligibility today. Again, just text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.